Greetings. This is Skyler Saunders seeing what's current. Today, I would like to discuss something that's rather near and dear to my mind and my well being. It is the case of Jordan Neely's murder and the ex Marine, I say that with emphasis, who killed him. Now, he has not been identified as of this post, but in the coming days and weeks, we will get to know him and know his background further. But what I want to discuss is not just simple semantics, but actual meaning behind words and why they convey what they convey. See, whoever this miscreant was may have been a Marine at one point. He may have even been discharged with an honorable level. But when you commit a crime such as this, as heinous as it is, you are no longer a Marine. You're an ex-Marine. You're not even a former Marine, because sometimes people use the term, "Oh, I'm a former Marine because I'm not in the Corps itself," and that's admissible. But as a Marine myself, I go by the credo: once a Marine, always a Marine, and with that comes an asterisk. That comes with a caveat, a warning, saying unless you do something so foul and vicious that you are stripped of the title Marine and you are now regarded as an ex-Marine. The disgusting display of this person, this ex-Marine, should send shivers down the spine of anyone who has any conception of the value of human life. He did this without regard. It took 15 minutes. It's very reminiscent of Eric Garner. It's reminiscent of George Floyd. And it's just overpowering authority, even though he had no actual credentials as a policeman. But as an ex-Marine, he had the skill set of physical and violence or physical empowerment through just arms and hands. That's what we learned in the Corps. We know how to use MCMAP, Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. We can take down an offender, and defend ourselves. But what was he defending himself or others against? What was Neely doing that was so vicious and vile that he decided to take his anger and strength out on this person and kill him? Why did it take so many people to say, hey, wait a minute, this could be lethal? You don't want to catch a murder charge. They actually said that. Hello, Houston. Make sure you share. I don't want you to be the only one giving money. You were my first and only person to give money on this platform, so I appreciate you, sir. Make sure you share so other people can do the same. But back to the topic. As a Marine, I mean, it was a privilege and an honor to serve my country, serve myself, because that's a lot of people say, you want to serve something bigger than yourself, and that's what this is. It's like the United States Marine Corps is older than the United States of America. It's a wide ranging, very ancient in a way, but very thriving organization. It's all about having the idea of being bigger than yourself in the sense of something being older or having larger fan base or group base or anything of that nature. That's bigger than yourself. Not yourself being diminished, not the self being degraded, but you applying yourself to something that is much on a larger scale than your own self. Even with the Marine Corps being the smallest branch of the United States armed forces, it still is a vibrant and vital aspect of what we do as warriors. And I think everyone in the streets, whoever says, thank you for your service, and I say thank you for your support, because they pay their taxes, and when they pay their taxes, those taxes go to me. So I'm very fortunate. I wouldn't be able to get those taxes if I didn't have an honorable discharge. I wouldn't be able to get that money if I didn't go by the rules and abide by the system that was already in place. See, there's levels to this. There's levels to the fact that when you have an ex-Marine go after somebody who has no foreseeable military training or anything like that, or some of them do. Some of the people that are on these trains in New York, you'll see all kinds. You'll see, homeless people. They may be veterans. That's another term. I'm a veteran Marine, and that's permissible as well, because you're distinguishing yourself from an active duty Marine, and that's fine. But it was not his place. It was not his place to be a vigilante and try to go out and do all these vicious things for 15 minutes to place Jordan Neely in a chokehold for that amount of time. And it's been ruled a homicide. And his name has yet to be released to the press. So when the coming months, unravel and unfold, we'll see just how much it means to be a Marine. Because there are also very famous Marines, such as Charles Whitman and Lee Harvey Oswald. They both got their training in the Marine Corps and committed heinous, vicious, ugly acts and crimes against innocent bystanders and the President of the United States with Lee Harvey Oswald. They were and are ex-Marines. Let's make that distinction. They're not Marines anymore, or they never, they weren't Marines when they committed those acts. And they never should be considered as Marines in print, on television, on radio, and podcasts. Nowhere. They should never be considered that. Anywhere. The Marine ethos says that you are a warrior of supreme and noble ideals. That you are a person who knows himself or herself and can uphold their own ideals as administered by the Marine Corps. It's in our hymn, the Marine Corps hymn, to keep our honor clean. Once that honor is sullied, then it becomes an issue where you don't have any control over what people are going to do. Once that honor is dirtied, you have no recourse but to say you are an ex-Marine. That's it. That's all there is to it. There's no equivocating, going back and forth. Oh, well, he served his country and he was a good guy and I think he was honorably discharged. No. That doesn't make any difference. There's no going back after that. And there's dozens of Marines that are not even dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands, yeah, of veterans who live happy, great lives as individuals, who take care of their families and their values. That's important. That's what should be upheld. And a lot of people say, oh, there's another black eye for the Corps. Another veteran, he did something out of bounds. No, not for the Corps, for him. Let's keep this individualistic. It goes on whoever perpetrated this evil act, not the United States Marine Corps. The United States Marine Corps is so intact and in tune with being morally upright. And of course, we had so many instances where the Marines have been tried and gone to prison and come out again or gone for life. So many Marines have tested the waters and killed people and murdered people and raped and pillaged, even while they're in the Corps. There are stories of towns and cities in Vietnam and Iraq and Afghanistan where women were brutalized by Marines, sometimes men. But it's not that's not the Corps. That's not the Marine Corps. That's not what we stand for. The Marine Corps has been good to me. Always has been, always will be. My recruiter never lied. He never said, "Hey man, you're going to have, carte blanche. It's going to be, it's going to be the best, time all the time." He never lied. He said, "Look, you're looking for money." That's the thing I said. He said, "What are you looking for?" I said, "I'm trying to get paid." And he said, "The first thing you do when you get off, the bus and the boot camp is you get a deposit." Now that goes into Fort Still National Bank, otherwise known as Fort Still and Negroes bankrolls. But I got paid well for what I was. I was working at a department store, getting pennies. And comparatively speaking, you get a heck of a lot more in the Corps and also in other branches of the armed forces in the United States than you do as a clerk or working at McDonald's or Wendy's or Burger King or like me, Burlington Coat Factory, now just Burlington. And it just disheartens me and it angers me. I'm actually angry at the fact that this ex-Marine would have the gall to even interact with another human being in such a heinous and vicious way. And if there's at all any confusion whether you should say, well, they're not heroes. I'm not looking for to be a hero. I'm nobody's hero. I'm nobody's fan. I just went into the Marine Corps to get money and benefits, and that's what I'm getting right now. I did everything that was supposed to be above board and enough to get me into a position where I'm able to support myself. But that's it. That's where the timing of this brutal murder comes into play. And who knows about this ex-Marine? He could have served 2 tours in Afghanistan, 3 tours in Iraq. It's not giving him a justification or, to pass it off as him being a war hero or something of that nature. He may never even been deployed. I've never been deployed. He could have just been stateside. I don't know. We don't know yet. The facts aren't out there yet. But when they do surface, we will see a picture of somebody who's probably been hurt himself. Hurt people hurt people. And hurt people kill people. Murder people. Because that's another distinction. Killing and murdering. When you're in the armed forces, you're a killer. I don't care what branch. Every branch has killed somebody in the line of fire in some way. They've killed another human being, at least one. Everyone, Coast Guard, Air Force, Navy, Army, Space Force. Maybe not Space Force yet. Maybe they are the only branch that hasn't killed too many people or any people. But definitely the Marine Corps. That's what we're known for. What makes the blood grow? What makes the grass grow? Blood. Who makes the blood flow? Marines. It seems vicious. It's harsh. We don't talk about it on family day or graduation. It's not brought up all the time in the literature, and we get to see it in movies in Hollywood. The ones that ask for permission to use certain equipment and special techniques that go into being uh and especially the Marines. You have different movies like Full Metal Jacket and Jarhead, and you have television series like The Pacific and Generation Kill, and they all convey Marine Corps, I think, in bits and pieces very well. To be honest, I mean, my uh, senior drill instructor wasn't um, like Gunny Hartman. He wasn't like Arlie Ermey's character completely. To an extent, he very much was. And that's why the thing is, Arlie Ermey was a Marine. Before he died, he was definitely a Marine. And an excellent example of what it means to be a Marine post the Corps. When you're in life, in civilian life, what you can do to better yourself. There's Max, I want to make sure I say his name right. Uriarte. He's an illustrator. He's of Terminal Lance fame. He's one of the best examples of what it means to be a Marine post the Corps. And he put into my mind the idea of he misses the Marines, but he doesn't miss the Corps. And anybody who has ever served, and even if you're in a different branch, you know exactly what that means. You don't want to have the bull, because there's going to be a lot of bull going down. And you don't want that. You don't want the fact that there's a group of people that can, destroy your world, and you can't have anything to do with it. That's not what the Corps is, though. The Marine Corps, with the Marines, if you want to be specific, with the Marines, it gives you so many opportunities to advance in life, to improve yourself, to be a better person inside and out as a Marine. And this individual chose not to live on the level of a human being. He wanted to take on the role of a brute, a savage, an Attila, someone who is so drawn back from reality that he can't even contend and control himself. Now, if he is in fact, found guilty of this murder, he should get psychiatric evaluation, but he should go to prison. I don't think he should be in a psychiatric facility. Neely belonged in a psychiatric facility. He had his own list of run-ins with the law. He was no perfect angel or saint. But welcome, Stacy Galore. She's right on time with 11:11. That's great. Thank you. Make a wish. Thank you. Support the machine. I'm trying to get to $10 in donations this show. So help Houston out. You already sent me $5. That's better than $1 and no dollars. So I thank you. But back to this individual. Ex-Marine, not a former Marine, not a veteran Marine, X'd out, no longer. You made the choice, you made a decision that cost you that title of Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine does not apply to this person anymore. He has the understanding of himself to be lower than dirt. And I say that without facetiousness or any kind of ha ha hee hee funniness. I say that as serious as colon cancer. Someone who once stood on the yellow footprints, allegedly. Someone who took on the responsibility of defending a nation. Someone who took on the ability to learn how to kill. I'm a trained killer. I can kill you. I can literally, I have techniques that I know that can kill. And you saw this displayed. And the irony, I say that this may not make sense, but I like saying it because it sounds nice. The irony of all ironies is that when it comes to people that actually need to be strangled, if that's the right way to say it, like mass school shooters, where are those people? Where are those individuals? Why can't there be a Marine that'll tackle the person with the gun, that'll be on an airplane when they have box cutters and ready to murder any innocent civilians? Where are those Marines? And where are those people? This just human beings. Just human beings. You don't even have to be in the Marine Corps. The people on Flight 93 on September 11th, they discovered what was going on, what had happened to the World Trade Centers and what happened at the Pentagon. And they gathered together and said, we're going to go, let's roll. We're going to get together. We might go down, we might perish, and that's what happened too. But they said, we're not going to allow this to go any further. That's the kind of idealism we need. And that's the kind of thing that happens within the Marine Corps as well. I mean, there's a birthday every year on 10 November, celebrating in 1775. That's when my Marine Corps came alive. They show some clips, during the birthday celebration of everyday civilian, former Marines or just Marines, veteran Marines, tackling people in convenience stores who plan to rob the cashier. They have every bit of grit and still have that warrior ethos. It's a philosophy behind it. That's what attracted me to the Marine Corps, because they talk about the ethos or the idealism that is inherent in the Corps and the Marines. That enamored me. That's what drove me the most. I went home. I studied. This is before. This is in 2007. We're going back. Going back 16 years. It's a trip. But this beautiful Hispanic young lady. She's Puerto Rican and Irish, I think, or something like that. Puerto Rican and white, something. But she was gorgeous. She still is. She's accomplished many things. She was in the Marine Corps. She's out now, has master's degrees. She introduced me to the Corps. I was just trying to get, her graduation date and see her graduate on that deck. And it turns out that these recruiters want fresh meat and young, impressionable 19-year-olds. And so I just said, let's go. I'll roll with you. And she graduated, went on, beyond that. I saw her in the next few months. She gave me a big hug. We went out to eat, or not out to eat. We went to a movie. We went to see I Am Legend. It was beautiful. But the thing was, I supported her. She told me that people in her family were dogging her, were going against her and saying the things that were, untoward. And I was just like, you know what? I never heard of this. I was stupefied. This is how brainwashing goes. I did not know there were female Marines. I knew there was a female Air Force personnel. My mother was in the Air Force. I've witnessed women in the Army. I witnessed various people in other Navy and from TV and movies. I don't think I've ever before at that time. I don't think I've ever seen a female Marine ever in my own personal life, in the media, everything. I had to learn all of that, following that. And even my recruiter said, I don't believe in female Marines. And I understand what he's saying. I disagree with him. And he knows better because if he had a female Marine, to sign up, he's signing her up. That's a bonus. That's a paycheck. He knows the game. He knew the game. We all know the game. It's about the game. As Simple the Pimp said, this game is brought to you by the game. And it was amazing. It was an amazing experience being in the United States Marine Corps. And I'm very proud of my service. I wasn't the trigger puller on the field. I wasn't in a firefight. I never got into any kind of tussles or any conflicts. But I still earned the title. It's been tattooed on my soul for all these years. And I'm very aware of that. And I think it is something that should be explored even more by television producers, movie producers, novelists, all kinds, to prevent things like this from happening. To remember that it's okay to not be in somebody else's business. That it's okay to protect somebody when they need protecting, because that's the irony of it all. You have people getting shot up. There's thousands of people that get killed. There's hundreds of people that are getting maimed, and the other way around too. It's a sad situation where we're in right now. I appreciate the hatred, righteous name. I hope you do well in life. I can't knock you. Continue on and drop a 5 or a 10 on me. Please do that to support this machine. Yeah, that's where we are. An ex-Marine. A Marine who had no clue. A Marine who had every opportunity to be a model Marine, a model citizen of the world. He had every opportunity. But he failed miserably. And it takes a lot of the time of being in what you think is on the level of helping other people, which may be in his mind. He was trying to subdue somebody that was erratic, that was irrational, that was may have been using foul language in the presence of ladies and children. A righteous name is asking me what was my MOS. I was a pencil pusher. I was a paper stacker. I was a 6046 maintenance administrative specialist for aircraft, which is basically a bookkeeper. I kept the records for the pilots. And that was one of the coolest jobs I ever had in my life. I got to wake up and go into an office and then open up a door, and there was a Harrier jet, a AV-8BB jet sitting right in the middle of the hangar where my office was, the office I was working in, not just my office, but the office I was working in was right there. I thought that was just a little kid in me was like, that's really cool. I was just like, that's awesome. I mean, where else are you going to get to do this? There's no other place other than the Air Forces that you get to see a fighter jet, be just to have it stationed there. you know. But no, I was a pencil pusher. I'm proud of that too. It's just what it is. It's not like, oh, I was in an 0311, which is an infantryman, which, if you don't know what an infantryman is someone who is on the front lines, this tip of the spear. I was in the rear with the gear. I was in the rear with the gear, and I still felt that I had contributed something of substance and worth to the Corps. Now, with the Corps, there comes a sense of censorship. I'm trying to make a transition here, but there's censorship within the Corps. You can only read a certain amount of things. You can only watch a certain amount of things. Some things are permissible, some things are not. You can't read any kind of propaganda that goes against the United States of America. That should be obvious. And you can't, read, some, ideas that are detrimental to the Corps. You have to be ready to understand that. And then when you come into the civilian world, and where we are now with cancel culture and banned books and all these different things, I'm going to go back now and say, why are we so concerned about cancel culture? We should be canceling these individuals that feel the need to exact violence against other people, or brutal force to initiate or start force against another person. That's not banned. That's not canceled. But the Bible is canceled. Now I'm an atheist, and I don't want the Bible canceled. I don't want it to be banned. It's a historical tract of what people really wanted to express, even how foul, even how detrimental it is to the mental capacity of the individual. Even with all of that, it still should be on shelves. It still should be interpreted and researched and taken into account. And that goes with anything from novels to plays to TV shows to movies to anything of art and sculpture and paintings. People are afraid of paintings and sculptures with nudity in them. It's not pornography. It's art. And that's what people get confused. Art is a selective recreation of reality. That's basically what it is. Pornography is, in a sense, just to stimulate the genitals and to prepare for sex. That's what pornography is. It's completely different from art. And the fact that we have so many people canceled, quote unquote, I don't even like to use cancel. What is cancel? What is that? Or people who have, a little bit of idea of what they are or who they are and don't know what they're doing. They're not sure about what they are saying and doing. And that's what extends from libraries to schools. It all should be private. That's the problem. That's the main issue, is that it should be privatized. Libraries should be privatized. Schools should be privatized. Everything should be privatized except the cops, the courts, and warriors. Armed forces, law enforcement, and law litigators. That's the only things that shouldn't be privatized. That is the only roles. Those are the only roles of the government and in the agencies. And its one purpose is to defend and protect individual rights. But you got all these stories about books being banned, coming back on the shelves, taking them back off the shelves, coming back on the shelves. It's a travesty. It's disgusting. It makes it seem as if there's no out. There's no way to really extend yourself and to apply knowledge to a given book or a given TV show or a given movie or whatever the case may be, some form or source of creative making, as if you can't handle it, as if you don't know what to do, as if you don't have the wherewithal to know the difference between what it means to be a rational person and what it means to be somebody that's not true. Just like the ex-Marine. I'm trying to draw those parallels. I'm trying to give you that sense that there's a sense that there's not enough people who understand the difference between censorship and saying something that should be banned or should be brought out. Only the government can censor something. That's the only entity that can censor something. You may use it in shorthand, TV censors, all these different things like that. But it comes to a point where we're not fully engaged in the fact that we're individuals with minds and can make distinctions. That's the difference. We're programmed to not think. We're programmed to just follow the herd, to do what everybody else is doing, to be like everybody else. Even in America, the one shining example of individualism across the entire world, across time, and we still are essentially burning books, because that's the next step. To go over what the Nazis are doing. But it's not. It's like they can take it off of catalogs. You can take it off your Nook or your Kindle. You can't read it anymore. And it's just ideas, whether you like them or not. I don't like the Bible's ideas. I think they're very harmful psychologically, because you're not able to stand on your own mind. You're not able to say that you have your own mental faculties to distinguish between something that is mystical and non-essential to something that is true and good and right. That's where we are right now. That's the exact point of the ex-Marine. He had no disregard. He had no regard for Neely's life. Just like these people that are pushing the banned books, they have no regard for the life of the mind, for mental stability. And that's just a question of so many other things. Like I said myself, I have bipolar 1. I have a mental disorder that it's gonna be with me for the rest of my days. Hopefully, since I get a deposit in my bank every month. It's something that I don't really consider to be something that's detrimental, to pick up and read. I don't have to agree with it, just like anyone else. You don't have to agree with Atlas Shrugged. It's the pure, simple, rational truth told through a beautiful story. but you don't have to agree with it. You can say, I don't want my children reading it. That's your prerogative. That's your business. You can say, I can take my child out of this class now, but in the future, when we have privatized everything, there'll be no such thing as cancel culture or banned books or anything like that. There'll be no such thing as people saying, "Oh, here are the list of banned books for this year," because at the root of banning books, you're banning ideas. You're banning the mind from engaging in thought and engaging in worlds that you never even could possibly imagine. Just because of one word or one scene or a few passages, and it gets thrown into this big heap of people and things that don't make any sense together, that are completely bereft of the understanding it takes to read and understand a book, to watch a movie, and get all the nutrients that you can get out of it as food for the soul. But like I said, what Houston is saying, he's saying they can't ban an idea. They just putting attention on what they're trying to ban. It's promotion, and they're going to resell the books. Congratulate that man. That's a good point. That's an excellent point. Because people are going to ban books from here to now, to forever, until we get private organizations that recommend and completely support these authors. I mean, they tried to cancel J.K. Rowling. She's almost a billionaire. She gave away money. She would have been a billionaire, still been a billionaire, but she was the first billionaire, I think, author in all human history. That's a gigantic achievement. That's super. That's major. And just because she said some words about transgender, she gets canceled? Does that make any sense at all? And again, I'm for that. I don't like it. I don't respect that. But if you want to not read her books, if you want to not go to the movies that are made from her books, not pick up the playing cards and go to the rides at Universal, or do all the different things that give her more money, then don't do it. You have the right, but why restrict the next person from doing it? Why stop their growth and understanding? I like Houston saying Aleister Crowley books not banned, but the Bible is. Same difference. Well, I say that, Aleister Crowley, shouldn't be banned, and the Bible shouldn't be banned. Either one of them. Mr. Lewis, thank you for checking in. I have a goal today. $10. And I'll give credit to Houston, Tennessee Williams. I'll give him credit because he forwarded me $5. Here's my Cash App. I'll give you a chance. You'll have every opportunity to send me more money. if you're just tuning in and chiming in now, you will have the opportunity to give me money. I appreciate everything that you are doing for me right now. So I am putting in my information right now for all of you to see and to understand. If you have the time and money, please supply it in ample amounts, as much as you can. That would be fantastic. So when you have people that are so concerned with, I don't want my child reading this book, I don't want it just fuels the fire. I mean, here we go again. You take so many books and you say, oh, you can't read that. What's the kid gonna say? Oh, I can't read that. I'm not even gonna look at it now. And they're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna find some way to read it. At least that was for me. You know, somebody tell me something I can't do and it was positive, and shoot, I'm doing it. I'm furthering my life. I'm furthering my learning. I'm furthering my education. I'm furthering myself and my studies. I'm an autodidact. Now, that's just a big word that says self-learning. I learned by myself. I'm a dumb community college dropout. So anything I know is based on my own research and somewhat, to an extent, what I learned in public school. I didn't learn as much. I learned a hell of a lot more going out of school. Hell of a lot more. Mr. Troy Star Terrain, in his book, I never even heard of King Leopold II. I heard of Ted Bundy. I heard of Martin Luther King. I heard of Jesus. I heard of Joseph Engels. But I never heard of King Leopold II. Now, are they going to ban books on him? Tell the whole world that he wasn't a mass murderer and a killer, a butcher who never stepped foot or in Congo? King Leopold II of Belgium? Because I didn't learn about him. I never even heard of him. It was never on my radar screen. But what do we get? Hitler. Everybody got Hitler. And Mr. Terrain said he's one of the biggest, Caucasian embarrassments of all time. His failed eugenics program, knocked people off, in the millions. He wanted to go even global with it. But America was like, nah, you're not cutting in on our side of the pie. You're not doing that. So he had to go. Said, U.S., we gotta stay the sole superpower after this. The Allies won the war, came home, made babies, made baby boomers. Then Gen X came in, then millennials, then Generation Z, and now alphas. That's where we are right now. We're at a point where we're not canceling the actual murderers and killers, but people who have ideas, good, bad, or indifferent. Because I don't care. If you Marx, all of that, his writings with Engels. Now, I missed the name. It's Dr. Joseph something. I can't remember last name. It's not Engels. It's close to it. Help me out in the chat. No, if you took on the role of someone that said, I'm canceling or banning or going against these things, and not worried about the people that are shooting up schools, not worrying about the people that are strangling people to death on subway systems, that's where we have the problem. That's where we have the issue. We have the grave responsibility to uphold our own lives. I say grave only because we have to take it seriously. And then we can have all the happiness in the world. Because that's it. That's what the whole point of life is to be happy. Chronically happy. You have reason, individualism, and capitalism in place to give you the opportunity to be happy. And not just the equal opportunity, but to maximize opportunities. Give yourself a chance. Give yourself the understanding that you are worthy of what you do. You are worthy of the person that you upheld yourself to be. That didn't happen in Mr. Neely's case. That didn't happen for him. He didn't get the chance. He couldn't read those books. He couldn't watch those movies. He couldn't watch those TV shows. Why? Because his life was literally strangled out of him. He didn't have the chance. He didn't have any sense of what it meant to look at some words or images that people would normally, say are offensive. He couldn't make that choice because now he's dead. And the ex-Marine is in line with those people just on a physically forceful level. He banned Neely from life. He canceled him, literally, like Nino. He canceled him. He took his life. He had every indication to not do that. He had every sensibility to say that he should not do that. So why would anyone give him a chance? And they do that, he's headed to prison. He's going for life or death, most likely. Probably, a good 60 years to 90 years, maybe more, 100 years, 140 years. But what will happen? He'll have good behavior. He'll revert to his Marine Corps ways. He'll be able to play ping pong in the day room, watch TV, and he'll get out and on probation for 20 years or live under house arrest for a year or two. That's a possibility. Let's hope not. Let's hope he does get the fullest extent of the law exacted upon him without regard. Because it doesn't reflect well on the Marines, but the Marines who have the wherewithal, who do know honor, courage, commitment, and know how to understand the system and how it works and how America works. That's the key right now. To put in layman's terms, that's the truth. That's truth. That's as simple as it gets. It doesn't get any worse or any better until we find that way where we can understand things like abortion and mass shootings and men of color especially being choked out in the streets of Minneapolis and New York City, or being gunned down or treated like dogs, beaten and stomped. That's what is so important right now. That is what is crucial. To get to a level where we no longer have to worry about being completely off base. Houston says he should got the whole library thrown at him. He knows the code, and he damn sure knows better. And that's facts. That's facts. That's true. I agree with you, Houston. He knew better. And I don't want to hear any excuses. Oh, well, Neely was acting erratic and irrational, and he wanted to save and protect the passengers. Come on. Let's not play silly kitty games. He knew what he was doing. He knew the fact that he was taking this man's life, despite all the different run-ins with the law that Neely had, and his hospitalizations and his misdiagnoses, maybe. It did not give him license to kill. He was not protecting anybody's rights, including his own. That would have been the impetus for killing somebody, for taking another's life. That would have been enough. And that's the key to the fact that he had every bit of training to know. And what is so powerful is the indoctrination. It's the opposite of banning and cancel culture. It's the it's the idea of making sure people know the difference between self-defense and offense. That's it. That's what is mostly the truth. That is what is connecting these two stories, or these two ideals about banned books and ex-Marines. Because there should be no ex-Marines and there should be no banned books. Hell, they banned books in prisons. Toni Morrison's book, Paradise, banned, among her other books, Beloved and The Bluest Eye, banned across different schools. Why? Because the privatization has not taken hold. Now, Mr. Lewis is talking about breaking bread. I don't know what he means by that. You can break bread with me. You can look at my Cash App, Skyler Saunders 1, dollar Skyler Saunders 1. I meant to say that in the previous Cash App. I put the at instead of the dollar sign. Pardon me. But, go to Cash App, dollar sign Skyler Saunders 1. SKYLERSAUNDERS 1. So that's where we are. That's the payment we get for being rational, being, upholding the law, doing the right thing. We get punished by these bad actors, as they say, who want to bring down everyone else, who want to bring down everyone who has the proper and way. That's what their goal is, to bring people down. And it takes time for us to realize just how much it takes to be selfish, rational, objective in our deportment and how we carry ourselves, how we hold ourselves up. We take that as a stepping stone towards and building blocks to our own lives. Neely won't be able to see another day. He was canceled and banned from life, from Earth. And this ex-Marine is floating around somewhere. And we don't know what will be the outcome or the possibilities of this case yet. But if anything goes as properly planned, he'll be caught and his name will be released and he'll be tried to the fullest extent of the law and never be allowed to see sunlight ever again outside of prison walls. And I'd like to end on a happier note, saying I've gained more subscribers, and views than I've had in almost 17 years on this channel. I thank you all for that. I appreciate Mr. Terrain for strapping the battery on my back. So I got to show my face rather than just my writings. I appreciate that. So in closing, I just want to spread as much respect and admiration to anybody and everybody who sees these clips, these various videos. I do respect and honor you. And just as the Rifleman's Creed, you are nothing without me. And without me, I'm not. Without you, I'm nothing. So I appreciate the fact that you have taken the time to watch these clips, watch these videos, and I hope you have a great and wonderful and powerful day. Thank you very much. Take care.